The Galactic Academy of Xenoanthropology and Tactical Studies floated in the void between Andromeda and the Milky Way, a neutral zone perfect for studying lesser species without contaminating their development. Its crystalline spires house the brightest minds from 17 galactic federations, all dedicated to understanding, categorizing, and occasionally manipulating primitive civilizations. Earth wasn't even listed in the official catalog of study planets. It appeared only in the appendix under extreme environment training locations, right between the methane storms of Titan and the radioactive wastes of Kepler 438b. Cadet Vex'lor Nuum, a lanky blue-skinned proximan with 6 fingers on each hand and a penchant for asking inconvenient questions, had discovered this classification during his 3rd year of studies. While other cadets memorized the socio-political structures of the Centauri Alliance or the mating rituals of silicon-based life forms, Vex'lor had been digging through restricted archives. Earth is a training planet? He'd muttered to himself, compound eyes widening as he scrolled through the data. But they have nuclear weapons and reality television. Surely that indicates at least Class 3 sentience. The Academy Dean, Grandmaster Zix, a gelatinous mass of neural tissue encased in a hovering exoskeleton, had merely vibrated in what passed for amusement when Vex'lor brought his findings forward. "Your graduation exam has been assigned, Cadet Nuum," Zix had announced, ignoring Vex'lor's question entirely. "You will conduct a standard infiltration and data gathering mission on Earth. Sector 7, North American continent. But sir, with respect, Earth seems unusually dangerous for a training. The Academy has been using Earth for cadet training for 3,000 years, Zix interrupted, neural tissue pulsing orange with impatience. We lose fewer than 8% of cadets there. Much better odds than the acid lakes of Venus. Now, as Vex'lor's single-occupant stealth pod hurtled toward the blue planet, he reviewed his mission parameters. Infiltrate human society for 30 standard days, gather cultural data, avoid detection, extract without incident. Simple enough for a top-ranked cadet who had aced every xenomorphic disguise class and spoke 12,000 languages. Yet something about Earth made his exoskeletal plates itch uncomfortably. The official Academy briefing described humans as moderately intelligent primates with limited technological development and predictable behavioral patterns. But the classified notes he'd accessed painted a different picture. Caution, extreme adaptability, pattern recognition, and inexplicable survival rates. Approach with all defensive systems active. As Earth grew larger in his view screen, Vex'lor couldn't shake the feeling that the Academy was using this training planet for something else entirely. The graduation rates from Earth missions had been steadily declining for centuries. Perhaps this wasn't just a test. Perhaps it was a filter. Vex'lor's pod touched down in a wooded area outside Seattle at 0300 local time. The disguise process was painful as always. Molecular restructuring to appear human required compressing his 7-foot frame into a 5'10" package and reducing his sensory organs from 23 to a pathetic 5. "How do they even function?" he grumbled, examining his new pink skin and dull single-spectrum eyes in the pod's reflection panel. "They can't even see ultraviolet emissions or detect magnetic fields." His mission began smoothly enough. The identity chip provided by the Academy worked flawlessly. Customs databases accepted Victor Newman as a Canadian tourist without question. His temporary apartment, secured through something called Airbnb, provided adequate shelter. The primitive currency system was laughably simple to manipulate. By day 3, Vex'lor had grown confident. Humans were exactly as the Academy had described: slow, predictable, obsessed with trivial matters. He'd already compiled extensive notes on their mating rituals, inefficient, nutritional habits, horrifying, and entertainment, mostly watching other humans pretend to be different humans. Then he met Mackenzie Okonkwo. Mack, as she insisted on being called, managed the local coffee shop where Vex'lor had established his observation post. Unlike other humans who barely registered his presence, she noticed everything. "You're holding your cup weird again," she noted on his 4th visit, leaning across the counter. "And yesterday you tried to pay me with your transit card instead of your credit card. Where did you say you were from?" "Canada," Vex'lor replied, the word feeling clumsy in his human mouth. "Which part?" Her eyes, brown with gold flecks that somehow seemed to see right through his molecular disguise, narrowed slightly. The northern part, he answered, cursing himself for not studying Earth geography more thoroughly. Right. She smiled in a way that didn't reach those unsettling eyes. Enjoy your coffee, Victor from northern Canada. That night, Vex'lor's apartment was broken into. Nothing was taken, but everything had been examined. The intruder had been careful, but Vex'lor's enhanced senses detected the subtle changes, the shifted air molecules, the microscopic disturbances in the dust pattern. The next day, his carefully constructed routine began to unravel. His transit cards suddenly didn't work. The restaurant where he'd been documenting human digestive practices claimed to have no record of his reservation, and Mack was watching him constantly, always with that same knowing half-smile. You know, she said when he returned to the coffee shop, we get all kinds here in Seattle. Tech workers, tourists, students. She placed his usual order in front of him without being asked. Even the occasional visitor from much further away. Vex'lor felt his secondary heart begin to race. I don't know what you mean. Just saying, Mack continued. If someone were, hypothetically, not from around here, like really not from around here, they might want to know that Seattle has a history with visitors. The incident in 2018, the lights over Mount Rainier in 2021, she tapped the counter. We noticed patterns. As Vex'lor left the coffee shop, he spotted 3 humans in nondescript clothing following him at a distance. His pod's emergency beacon was no longer responding, and according to his academy tracker, he was the 4th cadet assigned to this sector in the past year. The previous 3 had never returned. Vex'lor abandoned his apartment that night, taking only his data recorder and molecular stabilizer. The rain-slick streets of Seattle provided excellent cover as he ducked through alleys and side streets, evading his pursuers with techniques he'd learned in advanced evasion tactics. He found temporary shelter in an abandoned warehouse near the port, where the constant electromagnetic interference from shipping equipment would mask his biological signature. As water dripped through the rusted ceiling, Vex'lor accessed the Academy's restricted files through his neural implant. The truth unfolded before him in fragments of classified reports and redacted mission logs. Earth wasn't a training planet. It was the final exam, the ultimate test of a cadet's abilities. Of the last 50 cadets sent to Earth, only 7 had returned. The others had either been captured, killed, or, most disturbing of all, chosen to remain. Subjects display unprecedented ability to detect anomalies in their environment, read one report. Human pattern recognition exceeds all projected models. Recommendation: upgrade Earth from Class 3 to Class 1 observation status. Another file heavily encrypted. Humans lack the technological advancement of spacefaring species, but compensate with extreme adaptability and social cooperation when threatened. Caution advised. Vex'lor's mind raced back to his academy lectures. Professor Krill's warnings suddenly made sense. The most dangerous species aren't those with the most advanced weapons, but those who can turn anything into a weapon. The warehouse door creaked open. Vex'lor froze, activating his camouflage reflex, useless in his human form. I brought coffee, Mack's voice echoed through the empty space. Black, no sugar, like you always order. Though I'm guessing your species probably doesn't actually drink coffee. She walked directly to his hiding spot, setting down 2 cups on a broken crate. How did you find me? Vex'lor asked, abandoning pretense. You leave a trace of ozone wherever you go. Subtle, but distinctive. She sat down across from him. Also, I put a tracker in your jacket 3 days ago. Are you government? Military? Mack laughed. I'm a barista with a degree in xenobiology that everyone told me was useless. Turns out they were wrong. She sipped her coffee. The men following you, they're government. They're also very bad at their jobs. What do you want? Information, she replied simply. The same thing you came for. Fair exchange. Vex'lor considered his options. Academy protocol strictly forbade revealing information to primitive species, but the Academy had also classified humans incorrectly and sent him into a situation they knew was potentially fatal. Your planet isn't a training ground, he said finally. It's a filter. The Academy sends cadets here to see who's worthy of advancement. Because we're dangerous? Mack asked. Because you're unpredictable. Most species evolve logically. Their biology determines their technology, their social structures, their limitations. Humans, he gestured vaguely, humans shouldn't work. You're contradictory. You wage war and write poetry. You destroy ecosystems while fighting to save them. You're simultaneously the most cooperative and most divisive species we've encountered. Mack nodded slowly. And that makes us the perfect test. The perfect filter, Vex'lor corrected. Those who can understand and navigate human unpredictability can handle anything the galaxy throws at them. Dawn broke over Seattle as Vex'lor and Mack finalized their arrangement. She would help him complete his mission and ensure his extraction. In exchange, he would provide specific information about galactic civilization. Nothing that would violate the non-interference protocols, but enough to satisfy her curiosity. "Why are humans quarantined from galactic society?" Mack asked as they walked along the waterfront, avoiding surveillance cameras. "We've been sending signals into space for decades." "The Galactic Accords require species to achieve unified planetary government before contact," Vex'lor explained. "But that's just the official reason. And the real reason? Fear," he said simply. "The Galactic Council fears what humans might become if given access to advanced technology too quickly. Your adaptability makes you unpredictable." "That's ridiculous," Max scoffed. "We're just trying to survive like everyone else. 3,000 years ago, humans used sharpened sticks as weapons. Now you split atoms. No other species has evolved that quickly." For the next 2 weeks, Mack became Vex'lor's guide and shield. She helped him gather the cultural data required for his mission while deflecting attention from government agents. She taught him to move, speak, and behave convincingly human, skills the Academy's simulations had failed to convey accurately. On the night before his scheduled extraction, they sat on a rooftop overlooking the city. "Will you tell them?" Mack asked. "About how wrong they are about us?" "Would it matter if I did?" Vex'lor countered. "The Academy has been misclassifying Earth for millennia. One cadet's report won't change that." "But you passed their test. You survived Earth." Vex'lor looked at the city lights reflecting off Puget Sound. "I didn't survive Earth. I collaborated with it. According to Academy standards, that's failure." The extraction point was a clearing in Discovery Park. As Vex'lor prepared to signal his pod, Mack handed him a small package. "Coffee beans," she explained. "Real ones. Not whatever you've been drinking at the Academy. Consider it evidence for your report." The pod descended silently through the night sky, its cloaking field shimmering like heat waves. Vex'lor turned to Mack one last time. "They'll send more cadets," he warned. "We'll be waiting," she replied with that same knowing smile. 3 days later, Vex'lor stood before the Academy Review Board, his mission data projected behind him. "Cadet Nuum," Grandmaster Zix vibrated disapprovingly. "Your report suggests humans should be reclassified as a Class 1 species and Earth removed from the training program. On what basis do you make this recommendation?" "With respect, Grandmaster, I believe Earth has never been a training planet," Vex'lor stated boldly. "It's a testing ground for the Academy itself, to see which cadets can recognize when official doctrine is wrong." A murmur rippled through the neural tissues of the assembled masters. "Explain," demanded Zix. "The Academy teaches us to observe, analyze, and adapt. Yet our files on Earth, a planet of beings who excel at exactly those skills, remain unchanged for centuries despite mounting evidence of their advancement. This suggests either a catastrophic failure of our methods or," he paused, "a deliberate test to see which cadets can recognize the truth despite their training." Silence fell across the chamber. Finally, Zix's neural tissue pulsed with an unreadable emotion. "Congratulations, Graduate Nuum. You are the first in 50 years to identify the true purpose of the Earth assignment." As the truth dawned on him, Vex'lor felt his secondary heart skip a beat. The Academy hadn't misclassified humans. They had deliberately understated their capabilities to see which cadets would recognize the discrepancy. "Your new assignment," Zix continued, "will be to join our Earth observation team. Your handler will be waiting for you upon your return to the planet." "My handler?" Vex'lor asked, already suspecting the answer. "A human agent who has been working with us for some time. I believe you know her as Mack." As Vex'lor's pod once again approached the blue planet, he couldn't help but appreciate the cosmic irony. He had gone to Earth believing it was a primitive training ground, only to discover it was home to the Academy's most valuable allies. And somewhere in Seattle, a barista with a degree in xenobiology was waiting to welcome him back, this time as a colleague rather than a test subject. The greatest graduation exam in the galaxy wasn't about surviving Earth. It was about recognizing when you were the one being studied all along.